Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. Every one of these industry individuals realizes that Diddy has been behaving this way, doing this, and attempting to draw in different men into special acts with him. She understood what he preferred because she wasn't simply recruiting it for herself. Don't get that effed up craftsmanship assuming you feel that she was employing those male whores for herself. Nah. Bargain has uncovered a rundown of Hollywood men Diddy has supposedly laid down with, keeping in mind that a portion of those names are obvious. Others are in a real sense stunning. As per Gene, the tales about Diddy's notorious gay gatherings are valid. Hollywood men assemble there to lay down with one another and do all the frightful stuff they can't do uninhibitedly in broad daylight. Yet it goes even more profound than only 2 or 3 men on the DL. Gene accepts that Diddy effectively enrolls individuals to join his purported parties, and some of the time new individuals are not precisely there enthusiastically. However, who will make any meaningful difference with that word is male. Hollywood celebs pay as much as possible to gain admittance to Diddy's gatherings and new selects. Yet who are these men that Diddy has probably laid down with? What truly goes down at Diddy's gatherings? We should figure it out. I realized I ought to hang tight external a Turkish bass for you to understand what they do in the Turkish showers. No, I don't. Goodness, you don't approve. That is where a great deal of gay men meet, and they all clean up together, so it looks like Gene Bargain has more inside information about the men Diddy has supposedly been with on the DL than we recently realized about Gene's new meeting, where he spilled all the tea on Diddy's scandalous gay gatherings, Turkish showers, and oddities, including a rundown of men Diddy has purportedly laid down with in Hollywood. In a meeting with the specialty of exchange, Gene shed all the more light on a portion of Cassie's charges in her claim, particularly about Diddy compelling her to take part in freak-off. These happened at times consistently, and the claim additionally made sense of how Diddy purportedly started requesting that Cassie take part in voyeurism. He had her play out specific demonstrations with different men in his presence, since he said seeing her with another D would turn him on, so Diddy purportedly would request that Cassie assume responsibility for employing male whores or entertainers and tracking down a reasonable lodging to hold the oddity off during the oddity off meetings. Diddy supposedly set the stage by siphoning both Cassie and the male entertainers loaded with drugs into the claim. Cassie blamed Diddy for compelling her to participate in SA with male laborers, while yanking off in recording he experiences. He would purportedly request that she wear white unmentionables and paint her nails white to differentiate the brown complexion of the male entertainers. Currently, as per the claim as we referenced before, all Diddy did in cooperation was to sit on a seat and direct Cassie and the male entertainers to do what he maintained that they should do anyway. Gene Bargain accepts this, doesn't portray what went down during those oddities. Gene accepts that the claim was vigorously controlled on the grounds that a large part of the discussions between Cassie's legal counselors and Diddy's legal advisors began a very long time under the watchful eye of the claim, which was even documented, so a great deal of the heavier stuff was at that point sliced out to a limited extent to safeguard certain individuals' characters and to a limited extent to forestall a significantly more unfortunate aftermath for Diddy. Recall this supposedly in tensely blue-penciled claim had a trigger admonition on the first page. It blamed Diddy for exploding someone's vehicle, trying Cassie on numerous events, actual maltreatment, dealing, driving her to convey guns, tranquilizing her, and basically each and every way you can disregard an individual. Regardless, it seems like the claim scarcely even started to expose things Diddy has done. I mean, how evil could one individual at any point genuinely be before it begins to seem to be the individual common asim? Alar belly with the fiend. At any rate, back to Gene Bargain. During the meeting, Gene appeared to scrutinize the rationale of that claim's charge, that all Diddy did was watch. He accepted it didn't check out that there were BBCs in the room, and Diddy would have rather not had a preference for himself. After all, it is a free fray-off. For what reason should Cassie or the male entertainer be the only ones cracking off? Gene said. Diddy probably been cracking off likewise and allowing the male entertainers to all utilize their BBCs on him. He referred to one illustration of one time that Cassie had enough of Diddy's way of behaving, and she needed to trust in a companion despite the fact that she was at the time under a non-exposure understanding. Cassie purportedly let her companion know that once, when Diddy was on his yacht, the very yacht that Kim is accepted to have been on with Diddy, when Diddy beat her such a lot of that, he broke her nose. So Diddy was on this yacht, and Cassie supposedly strolled in out. and him being filleted by a man. It sounds frightfully like one more example revealed by Panther Wright about a female legal counselor working with terrible kid records who honestly strolled into Diddy's office to get a few reports marked exclusively to find Christopher Williams going down on Diddy hat. Supposedly requested that Christopher do this to utilize his chief muscle and hang the desire for a marking in front of him. It is no news that Diddy doesn't have the foggiest idea acceptable behavior. Around youthful male craftsmen or hopeful specialists, he sees them and gets generally hot and weighty. I mean, how would you make sense of Diddy welcoming various teens like Attendant and Justin Bieber to live with him and even offer his bed? He cherishes me. I mean, you all can't see it. You can't see that he cherishes me. You truly hang on. You truly believe that is disdain. You truly separate it. You've been around here quite a while. You realize he cherishes me. I don't think he likes you. You realize he cherishes me. That is solidly in this clasp. Diddy discusses how Usher used to rest in his bed when he was 10, which would make Diddy 19 at the time. Usher has consistently alluded to Diddy as one of his coaches or siblings. However, similarly, as with anything including Diddy, everything has a value, the value Usher needed to pay to go to. One of Puffy's flavor camps was to get presented to an extraordinary way of life at 13 years old. As per Usher, Diddy let him stay up the entire night in the organization of numerous problematic people who were generally at Diddy's home. He guaranteed he saw a few wild things like haphazardly going into a room and running into two men grinding away from his look. While portraying those encounters, you can perceive he would even not like to cross the line since he had stories for a really long time. The entire situation drew a great deal of reaction for Diddy, with individuals blaming him for preparing Usher. One individual said the subsequent "I heard Usher's mother needed to go get her youngster from Diddy since he had her child in parties. Let me understand what kind of individual Diddy was. I was a youngster during the 90s, and I knew how frightful that was. You all don't take exposition serious with young men, and that is a model. It was Usher who acquainted Justin Bieber with Diddy, perhaps. Diddy required another high school side piece at the time, in light of the fact that in a flash, Diddy had welcomed Justin to his home for 48 hours, where they did God knows what away from, according to the media. Anything it was, however, it was so great for Diddy that he needed to guarantee Justin a punishing new Lambo and a chateau to go with it if Justin would continue to spend time with him as though a teen. Furthermore, a 40-year-old hanging out isn't frightening by any means. However, we should return to something fascinating that Gene said during his meeting. As per him, Cassie strolling in on Diddy getting destined isn't even the creepiest thing she probably found in the 10 years she was with him. He accepts she saw a few things she would have rather not see at all, which gradually ate at her mental stability until it turned out to be a lot to handle, as indicated by the claim Diddy made Cassie himself and the male entertainers wear disguise covers during Freak-Off. Gene accepted the explanation was so that regardless of whether Cassie or any of the entertainers needed to document a claim, they wouldn't have the option to perceive each other. And the male entertainers specifically wouldn't have the option to remember him presently having a blowout or a total. Isn't it unlawful given everybody in question is a consenting grown-up? So for what reason was Diddy playing it safe against getting sued on the off chance that what he was doing was legitimate? And he evidently just watched while contacting himself. Well, somebody is lying, and it takes no virtuoso to sort out who, as per Gene, Diddy needed to stay quiet about himself. This somewhat makes sense of why he needed everybody veiled up for the oddities, and this is where it gets fascinating. Gene accepts that large numbers of the specialists and leaders in Hollywood have some familiarity with Diddy's inclinations, and they've known this entire time. They imagine not to know, perhaps on the grounds that they have skeletons of their own, or in light of the fact that they are apprehensive that Diddy will come for them. As far as we might be aware, it isn't outlandish for them to accept that Diddy can and will do something to them in the event that they cross him. As per Panther, each and every individual who has at any point attempted to compose a detailed storybook uncovering Diddy has kicked the bucket strangely or been put down another way. From Kim Watchman to Andrew Harrell and Wadey D, it's been each secretive passing in succession. Albie figured out how to get away from the passing, fell into a state of unconsciousness after numerous sicknesses, like renal disappointment. Panther kept it brief, saying, "It's very dubious that everybody at Uptown are Acords experienced some awful destiny, yet Diddy stayed okay, so it's a good idea that individuals are reluctant to spill the tea about Diddy's DL trickeries anyway. Gene says it is a loosely held bit of information that Diddy has laid down with a few men in the business and attempted to get for certain young fellows excessively. Some of those young fellows incorporate Chris Brown and the ER&B Bunch B5 anyway. Diddy isn't the only one on the DL in the business. Gene bargain referenced different names like Ike Jimmy Iene, who had a few exposition charges brought against him before they were in the end dropped. One of the different men that Diddy might have laid down with is Jamie Foxx. Thus, I began spending time with Puff like some time ago, and I realized the story doesn't check out yet, but it will seem okay. I would hang out and watch him toss parties.